guys, it's Sekaar, and today I wanted to go over my new Magic Dragon Knight build that I have for update 39. I think that this build is one of the hardest hitting builds I've ever had. It has been crazy fun to use. The sustain's a little rough and the tankiness is a little rough, but I don't care. It's fun and it's what I've been enjoying, and that's the kind of videos that I want to put out. I want to put out the videos that I find fun, the builds that I find fun, and I've really been enjoying this build over the last few days. So I hope that you guys enjoy. Before we get started, if you're not subscribed to the channel, do that. But that's all I'm gonna say. Let's get on with the video. We're gonna be a Breton on our Dragon Knight. Breton is best in slot for your overall sustain, so that's why I've been going with that. And I just really think it's overall your best option to go with for MagDK. As far as our attributes go, we're going to have 19 points into magic and 45 points into health to give us a max magic pool of 20.9k, a max health pool of 32.9k, and a max stamina pool of 15.3k. And our Mundus is going to be the warrior to increase our weapon damage as much as possible. And we're also going to be using Jewels of Mizrael as our food. It's going to increase our stamina magic recovery by 315. It's also going to increase our max health by 3,400. Then also we're going to be using Vampire Stage Tree. Vampire Stage Tree is awesome. It increases your overall tankiness at your lower health. And it's just overall, in my opinion, a necessary thing to have on most PvP builds. As far as our gear goes, this is where you guys are going to be like, what is he doing? But guys, I promise you it's going to make sense. Our monster set is going to be Valken Scoria. I know, haven't seen this in years, but I really wanted to try it, and I actually really liked it. We're going to be using a heavy reinforced helmet and a medium divine shoulder. Valken Scoria, if you guys aren't familiar, it's going to give you a line of offensive penetration. Also, when you deal damage with a damage over time effect, you have an 8% chance to summon a meteor that deals 7,100 flame damage to the target, and also a little bit of extra damage to nearby enemies, and that can occur once every 5 seconds. So this is awesome. It's just a little bit of extra flame damage, and basically on this build, we're just stacking flame damage non-stop. So we are just hitting so hard and just overwhelming fire on this, and you guys will see. I'll explain the next part right now. So our next set is going to be Ashen Grip, more fire. The 2-piece is max health, the 3-piece weapon and spell damage, the 4-piece crit chance, and then the 5-piece is whenever you deal martial melee damage, you're going to breathe fire to all enemies in front of you for 4,900 or 4,100 damage, flame damage, and that can occur once every 4 seconds. So that's happening very often with a 4-second cooldown, and it actually gets a lot higher because we're not even close to being buffed to our maximum weapon spell damage. We actually get to about, I think I've gotten to just shy of about 8k weapon and spell damage overall on this build. It gets really high. So overall, Ashen Grip is super solid. We're also going to be using medium Ashen Grip hands in Divines as well. And then our other set is going to be our front bar set. It's going to be Burning Spellweave. We're going to be using a light Divine Sash. Burning Spellweave is going to give us a line of max magic, weapon spell damage, crit chance, and also when you deal damage with a flame damage ability, you're going to apply the burning status effect to the enemy, and also you're going to increase your weapon and spell damage by 490 as well. So overall, more fire damage, and that's just going to increase our overall weapon spell damage. So it gets super high, and we're just proccing fire after fire on this build. So your Burning Spellweave is going to be up on cooldown. It's awesome. You have so much extra damage because of this. And then the rest of our abilities or weapons or gear, use words, dude, is going to be heavy Ashen Grip legs, reinforced, and then medium Ashen Grip Divine's feet. So that's going to break down our gear as far as 3 heavy, 3 medium, and 1 light. As far as our jewelry goes, we're going to be using an infused Burning Spellweave necklace with a weapon and spell damage enchantment on it, a ring of Ashen Grip, Bloodthirsty, with a reduced magic cost on it, and a Burning Spellweave ring in Bloodthirsty with a reduced magic, health, and stam cost on that. As far as our weapons go, we're going to be using Burning Spellweave swords. Our main hand is going to be Nirnhoned with a shock damage enchantment on it, and our offhand is going to be charged with a magic damage glyph on it to restore magic as well. I like swords on this because we're going to be using Corrosive a lot on this build, and it is just your best way to increase your overall weapon spell damage. We didn't need to increase our pen at all with maces, so we just went with swords completely, and your damage gets so high. And then moving on to our back bar, we're going to be using Vateshran Perfected Ice Staff with an increased weapon and spell damage enchantment on it in the defending trait. Vateshran, basically you're going to put weakness to elements on your enemy, and you're going to put a tether between you and your enemy, and between that they're going to take a lot of damage over time, and it's just great for your overall dot pressure on this build. Moving on to our gear, we're going to be using on our front bar is going to be our main spam build. It's going to be Molten Whip. You're going to want to combo this by getting your Seething Fury stacks. Every stack for Seething Fury, you're going to increase your next Molten Whip damage by 20%. So when you get that 3 stack, it increases your damage by 60%, and you hit so hard. And on top of that, for every stack that you have, you're also going to increase your weapon spell damage by 100. So other abilities that apply your stacks are going to be your last two, 4 and 5. It's going to be Flames of Oblivion and Engulfing Flames. Don't worry, I'll get to those in a second. The next ability is going to be Shattering Rocks. I like this for your overall CC. It's an unblockable CC, so that's great. And on top of that, you also get healed whenever they break free from it. So it's a nice little way to just to stay healing while also going offensive. It's great. It's one of the best abilities on Dragonite. We're also going to be using Igneous Weapons on our front bar. This is going to be your source of major brutality. So this is going to increase your weapon spell damage by 20% for 1.2 minutes. So it's got a very long duration. It's great. You don't have to click it that often. And then Flames of Oblivion, like I said. So this is going to be one of your sources of Seething Fury for your Molten Whip. It's also going to be a nice little bit of extra oomph damage. It's great to combo this with our other abilities. And on top of that, just by having it slotted, it's going to give you Major Prophecy and Savagery. So it's going to increase your weapon spell critical by 2,600. So it's great for your overall crit damage. And then overall, you're also going to have Engulfing Flames on this. So this is a nice little AoE to have on your enemies. It's also a good little spam bull if your enemies are starting to roll dodge too much. It goes through roll dodge, so that's great. And on top of that, enemies afflicted this are going to take more damage from all flame damage abilities. And so that's great. You have so much flame damage that you're stacking on this. So make sure your engulfing is on your enemies before you start using your ultimate. It is insane. The amount of extra damage you have on it. That's going to be buffing both your Vulcan Scoria and your Ashen Grip too, so that's awesome. And then Ferocious Sleep, the ultimate's been hitting really hard. I like it a lot. Usually I don't use Ferocious Sleep that often. It's kind of an emergency thing, but I've actually been using this a lot more often just because it is technically flame damage, so it is awesome for your overall damage. Engulfing is going to buff it, and then on top of that, increasing your weapon spell damage as much as possible. That tooltip gets so high. I know it says about 15k right there, but it gets to over 20k, I believe, when it's fully buffed up. So definitely make sure you're using this. Our back bar, we're going to be using Ellie Drain. This is the first time I've not used Ellie Susceptibility in a long time. I just felt like the minor Magicka Steel was super important to have, and I just really thought that it was necessary for your overall sustain. Your magic sustain is really rough on this build, like I said, but that being said, it's a fun build and it does a lot of damage, and this is a great way to combat that. And also, so it's also going to give you major breach on your enemy, so it's going to reduce their physical and spell resistance by 6k, but it's awesome for your overall sustain. You get minor Magicka Steel, and you're just getting magic back every second, so definitely make sure you have this on them at all times. And then also Race Against Time, this is going to be your snare removal. So if you're stuck in a certain place, hit this, boom, you're fast, because you're also going to get Major Expedition. So that's going to increase your movement speed by 30%. Also, you're going to get Minor Force, so it's going to increase your critical damage by 10% as well. And then Resolving Vigor, this is going to be a nice 5-second heal over time. This is going to be a great way to just keep your health up. And on top of that, you're going to get Minor Resolve, so it's going to increase your physical and spell resistance by 3k for 20 seconds. And then also Coagulating Blood is going to be your nice burst heal. When you get into a low health and you're kind of taking too much damage that your Resolving Vigor can out heal, hit Coag, boom, most likely shoots you right back up to full health. It's a great heal, it's phenomenal. And then Volatile Armor, I like this morph for this build because this morph is going to give you major resolve, so it's going to increase your physical and spell resistance by 6k. Both morphs do that, but the part that I like is it puts a nice little dot on your enemies for 20 seconds. It doesn't do a lot of damage, but it is damage, and on top of that, it's also going to be a dot that can have the possibility to proc your Vulcan Scoria. So definitely make sure that you have this on your enemies as well. Try to hit this when you're like right on top of them, because your only two things that can proc Vulcan Scoria are going to be Volatile Armor and Engulfing Flames. And then Corrosive, this is going to be your back bar ultimate. This ultimate is so unbelievably strong. You get to be super tanky because your incoming damage is going to be limited to 3% of your max health. So you just take absolutely no damage. It's awesome. And on top of that, you're also going to be doing a little bit of AoE poison damage to your enemies. So that's really cool. But really what's most important about this ability, or this ultimate, is that you're going to be ignoring your enemy's physical and spell resistance. So you are hitting so unbelievably hard. That's why we're building into weapon damage, because you have about 7 to 8k weapon damage on this build. So you are hitting so hard, and on top of that, having that high weapon and spell damage, on top of that, you're also hitting corrosive on them. Bruh, it's so awesome. I definitely recommend that. But moving on, champion points, our last little part before we part ways. Mastered Arms for our blue slottables, Focus Mending, Wrathful Strikes, and Untamed Aggression. Our red slottables are going to be Pain's Refuge, Survival Instincts, Sustained by Suffering, and Celerity. And the green tree, what we really care about, is Breakfall, Rationer, and Liquid Efficiency. That's the entire build. Oh, guys, and if you can afford it, it's very expensive. It's very expensive. But this helps your sustain. Your Essence of Magica potions, it's going to be restore magic and stam, but then it's also going to give you minor heroism. This really helps your overall sustain because this is the only thing that's going to help you get ultimate back faster, besides just light attacking and getting kills off, yada yada yada. This is a great way to keep your sustain up. I know they're extremely expensive. I bought a stack today for 1.8 million. What was I thinking? But it's really good for your overall sustain. If you can't afford it, just use regular tripods, and that'll really keep your overall recovery up, and that's fine. But guys, that is it from me. I really hope that you guys enjoyed the video. I've got a few announcements before we get on to the footage part of the build. One, if you're not subscribed to the channel, please do it. It would be free, and it's just a great way to support. But if you are already subscribed, I have a second YouTube channel, which is just my VODs, which you guys would be awesome if you went and subscribed to that as well. The link will be in the description below. Really, the best way I could explain it, because I just like to be honest with you guys, is once we get that channel to 1,000 subscribers, I can get it monetized, and that really helps me as a full-time content creator. Twitch is awesome, YouTube is awesome, but having a second YouTube channel is awesome as well. So guys, please, I'm begging you, take 2 seconds out of your day, go click that VOD's channel link and just make sure you're subscribed. That's all I'm asking. Please, I think it would be a very awesome thing of you guys to do, and it would just really help me out so much. Last thing before we get onto the footage, I know I'm talking you guys' ear off, I'm sorry. If you guys are into TikTok, I've been posting more on TikTok lately. That link is in the description as well. I've had my TikTok for about 2 months now, and we're at about 150 followers, so that's awesome. I'm pumped about that. I think that's really cool. So guys, please go follow me on there as well. But that's it from me. No more talking. I know I've talked your ears off so much. Thank you guys so much for watching to the end of the video. Don't forget to like the video as well, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Later.